Welcome to the podcast. My name's Lyndon and this is a podcast about routine observations and trials. And this one is regarding 2 years interacting with 99% less people. Now, this is very interesting because some of the psychological literature might even disagree with me here, and some of the smartest people in the world in a certain way. But don't forget, they can also be way out of the loop with regards to that Black Hawk Down movie analogy where the troops were shot to bits at the front lines and the generals didn't quite know what was going on and sent them back down the same street. So there are 8 billion different routines potentially, and you need to make your mind up with your doctor's help, obviously, regarding how you navigate life there. But this for me was quite an interesting test and still ongoing. So a couple of years with less people per day. Now, many of my jobs have meant that I'm exposed to hundreds of people per day, if not more, entire buildings of people in, say, physical health programs or mental and physical health programs, whether it's in a city or whether it's remote. And the interesting thing is that we're kind of sold a dream in society that a lot of people don't pull up. And if you do pull it up, all these words are branded on you like cynic or negative or whatever. However, when you really look at it and you base it on your health and what you need and where you're going, okay, so it's your life and your choice, do you really need to be around that many people, especially if it's fake and very transactional and a one-way street? During this period and the last decade, I've developed a thought, which is a principle now, where basically when I look at someone, I'm thinking, do they have a second of clear thought per week? And would that thought be used for my health, well-being, safety, or not? And the answer to that is usually no. And I've watched people, and the longer I've been away, the clearer I am because I spend a lot of time at the front lines. I don't need to spend any more time there. I've spent enough time studying too, and I'm always reading and learning every single day. However, there are a few things I just wanted to pass on to you with an experiment because this is a very rare experiment. Like most people don't get to have several years away from pretty much 99% of the humans they used to be around. What I did confirm was that the destabilizing effect and the negative motivations of people even close to you, or that you know within that 150 group, or the 8 billion other people out there. I did confirm that, and the effect of constantly being destabilized or even intentionally moved away from your goal in each conversation by changing the subject, for instance, or just manipulating you in a certain way, that definitely went on. And at the time when you're in it, it's hard to see it and understand it. And it's very hard to talk to people who have enough skill and intelligence and up to date information regarding how people behave at the front lines. I'm not talking about sitting them on a couch once a month after 400,000 hours of life. I'm talking about watching the last 4,000 hours of life or 10,000 and then saying, whoa, okay, that person was here and now they're doing that. And that ends in the cemetery down there. So it's a very different thing, okay? I've also been able to definitely confirm in my mind the dysfunction of the everyday person's lifestyle. Now, watching them and thinking, wow, okay. And then you look at them, think, do they have a second of clear thought? Yes or no? No. Do they have all these addictions? Yes. Okay. Do they want all this from me? Yes. Is anything coming back my way? No. Okay. So then their advice is all hooked to what? This sort of mainstream 1 degree line and money? Yes. And so it's been able to see that, understand it over time, and just confirm the effect it had on my lifestyle. For instance, I've never been clearer on where I'm going with regards to what my body needs, what I want to do, what I'm here to do on the planet. And that means that previously, when I was around these other groups, I wasn't in the environment to do that, or they didn't have my best interests at heart to even be a friend or mentor and say, hey, you're good at this. Why don't you head down that path or do this? So that means that that was a very transactional lifestyle in some ways. I had very deep, rich, and meaning friendships, and I still do in other ways. However, the less exposure to their drama meant less emotional toll on me, and then less vicarious fatigue and brain overload, just pure chaos. For me, at the back end of this already, I've been clearer after a year, took a good year, and then I was more clear at the 18-month period, and definitely the 20-month period, the 24-month, like 2 years. And now I'm making gains to solve things that I've never been able to make sense of or put in their place, and feel very, very confident with it and very comfortable with my assessment each month now. So heading into the third year, I thought, wow, that's incredible. I wonder if I stayed in that other zone, would I have ever figured any of this out or consolidated it? And then how long would I put up with the other groups not quite knowing their game and not having anyone intelligent enough when I read or listen to podcasts or on social media to confirm it? There's a couple of very good people there, and I'll mention them in the future, absolutely. But then they are pushed to a corner. They're called out there. So that's very interesting because they're not mainstream, but they see through the mainstream. So it was a greater understanding of self. Did you notice that when you've had time off at all? I'm interested if you have noticed anything in that way. And your time is not manipulated as much by other people. What I've also been able to confirm is the complete addiction to superiority, toxicity, competitions, and the coercive control of our culture and our nature. It was just, whoa, that one just blew me away. I was writing about it when I was in the realms, and then I've been writing about it, researching and looking at it from outside. So I've been able to get both perspectives there. But that's all bad for my lifestyle, hanging around that group, because they hold me back and I can't run as fast as I want to towards the goals I want to get to in my life. Okay. And this includes people you've helped with goals, including maybe even anxiety, depression, and suicide prevention. So high level stuff, life and death. But there was a one-way street. So clarity, absolutely delivering a confirmed, solid path towards your goals. That was the result of the time off, where if you were destabilized each week by these groups, and sometimes intentionally, other times just vicariously through their chaos, it was very, very hard to stay clear. Now, I was able to develop routines where I could gain more clarity in the week there, but in general, you're not going to put mission control to launch spaceships or space shuttles in a kindergarten with kids on a sugar crash, all right? How fake people are and how fake relationships are, very superficial and very transactional, was something I've definitely confirmed. And I kind of felt like when I was in the realm, you're made out to be a bad person if you talk like that. You weren't allowed to talk like, almost to the point of coercive control in greater society. If you typed it online, they might say, oh, you're a cynic and all those things. You're too this, you're too that. But if you're looking at the pure reality of it, so with your doctor's tests and your reality of, are they stable people or are they destabilizing your goals? Are they helpful for you? Therefore, are they healthy and safe for your community or your workplace? The answer comes back as no. And then there you look at the amount of hours you spend around these groups, so a couple of thousand hours a year working, but their destabilizing affects thousands and thousands of hours for your whole life. So it's been really interesting to delete that and say, right, I'm going to delete that completely and start here. Took a while to adjust, find my path going from maximum exposure to people every second to no people around at all, which is brilliant. And now I'm finding I'm very clear on who and how many people I'd add to life. I can live a life without a lot of people around. You don't really need a lot of people around, I find. And what I've found with the other groups is that they're very insecure. They have to be around people, and a lot of their time is just wasted yapping. And then the addictions come in like alcohol, cigarettes, junk food, negativity, caffeine all day, and you're trying to stay in a high performing group yourself. And it's very hard when you're around that group. And what I notice is the care level for other people in that group's low. They can't focus on long term goals, and they'll often attack and destabilize you for doing so. So two groups kind of don't mix, which is really interesting here. And that's why I always put a lot of boundaries in my podcast. Please respect my right to do that, because if you read, you will see that a lot of high level people in research and high level people in mental or physical health that have been burnt, attacked, and try and stop death, that they know you have to do this. Okay. So if it's a bit early, the news for you, this is why I do it. It's not because of anything else, it's for my own health and safety. But while I do this, I'm teaching you about society and people you'll meet as well. Okay. Hopefully you have a friendly society and a society that's functional. This is just part one. 2 years, 99% less people, great benefits. The longer I go, the better it is, the clearer I am, and the more dysfunction I can see. And the problem is that person doesn't have your health and safety in their mind, so not even a second of their week thinking about how anything they do affects you. And if that is the everyday general person, well, then you have to be very careful about where you work, who you let in, and what effect they have on you. And remember, I'm trying to get the most productivity out of myself possible to fulfill my goals in life. And say that might be physically or mentally or in business. And I'm just relaying what 2 years away from people looks like. And then how many phone calls you do receive too. So all those years with everyone else, what was it worth? And I'm seeing a fair bit of dysfunction where people might not even catch up with you for like 1,000 days. And you look at them and think, oh, okay, that was all transactional previous to this. Or you might help people mentally or physically. No, thanks. I'm not saying you should be thanked for everything. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, what was it worth? What was the toll on you? And what did you get back from it as well? And look, do-gooders in life will say, oh, you have to do everything and not get anything back from it. But we live in the real world here, okay? There has to be a transaction there. Sometimes, other times, no, don't expect anything. Yep, absolutely. But my point is, could I have been in another place, okay, utilizing my skill set with people that would appreciate it, maybe getting more belonging, autonomy, confidence, fulfillment, and meaning for myself, and having less negative health effects on my health. So that's a personal thing. And I have every right to think like that now. So I'm just doing a lot of reflection here. What I have noticed is that the time away is cumulative. So big blocks of time away have allowed for the sorting out of really complex topics over, say, billions of thoughts, millions of words, into hundreds of headings, into hundreds of thousands of words here in front of me. I've been able to say, yep, that's a principle. That's rock solid. That's ready to go. Yep, humans are behaving like this. I have definitely seen that. That's where that ends. So it's allowed me to make those calls, and I reflect a lot, remember, and a lot of people are very flippant, don't reflect at all. And for me, it's 50 years of work, and I've been able to look at it and say, yep, that's forged. That's ready to go. That's solid. And when you're around that other group, that destabilizing influence didn't give me that clarity. I could have less clarity per week in general with that group. And then 2 years away has allowed me unlimited run ups, weeks without being destabilized or attacked or pseudo bullied, intimidated, harassed with a joke, jab disguised as a joke, and then you have to pull someone up, and then they don't like you when they pull them up, and then you don't fit in. It's not the culture we have around here. Get lost, or you're too this. All the unnecessary arm wrestles, which is one of the headings I made up years ago, that's removed. And what I'm finally doing here is qualifying how much that took away from your health, how much that took away from the joy in life, and how much it took away from productivity for business. So the whole open plan workplace thing for me is a little bit fake in many ways. It doesn't work for everyone, and I can see businesses now changing that. It's good for people that like going out in the nightclub, but it's not good for other ways of productivity and other means and other people. But there are a few experiments. 2 years, 99% less people. Let me know if you've had big breaks and what it gave for you and if it changed your life forever. But for me, I'm in the process now of slowly adding people back, and I'm comfortable with myself. And I notice a lot of people are very, very insecure, and they're trapped in areas for the rest of their life because of it, and trapped in relationships. And I thought, wow. And I've even been talking to another person that reviews some of my work, and we've been noticing that a couple of seconds of silence and you'll be attacked. And that might be a cultural thing, even amongst friends or family. And that's even when you're really, really relaxed and calm and just want to chill out. So something's up. And I think that's that destabilized person. Other people call it maybe monkey mind, reptilian brain, toxicity. I call it toxic competition, superiority competitions, coercive control, very, very insecure behavior. And I think a person that's secure flushes that out just for being you and just for helping. These are people you might have helped for 40 years as well. So I'm seeing a lot of pretty much mass dysfunction. And now I'm very wary about letting that group have any effect on me or back into my, say, top 5 or 15 group, let alone the top 150 for work or in your community, let alone the top 8 billion. But the thing is about the 8 billion online is you seem to always find good people as well. So the internet has a very, very good use in that area. You're going to find a lot of haters, definitely. But in general, almost no one will do these experiments because they just won't sacrifice everything to do it. They won't make it effort to do it, too insecure to do it, and too hooked into the mainstream. But the view looking back is that a lot of people can't work with each other, like trying to set a good team up, which is something I've done for much of my life. It seems really hard to do. They've judged people before they even get to them. When they're walking over, they judge people that are smart, in a negative way. That it almost seems like we've lost how to work as a team. We've lost how to appreciate someone else's skill, lost how to be positive, and that's always a toxic competition again and negativity. And I look at it and think, well, if you're a person in business, you want to put the best team together possible. If you're in sport, you want the best team possible. You're in life for your children, best team possible. So it's a weird thing. The mix of ingredients and the life many people live is the wrong mix for the outcome they really want, which is a better life or higher productivity or higher performance. And when you're on the road every second of the day with no interruptions, it's really easy to see people that are wasting your time and people that are toxic, but then they try and attack and coercively control you. And then when you don't play that game and when they know you don't play that game just by your body language, they get triggered again. So it's been a really interesting part of life and it's been a valuable part of life. And it's something I've done maybe 6 times over my career. I've had breaks at different increments and I can see people that have never had a break. And I can see people that have just done one thing all their life. And I had them on tour. Then the later years of life, one of their partners had like 15 hobbies. The other person just went to work in a job they didn't really like. And I looked at them and thought, wow, it's going to be a miracle if you don't get divorced. And how boring is this person? Seriously. And did they actually live? So it's a very interesting time in life. The other generations are looking at life a bit differently. And the younger generation is looking at life maybe in the opposite way too. So it's a hell of a time to be alive in the 2020s. But I hope that makes sense. If that helps you out regarding the identification of destabilizing influences, or you had a gut feel that this could happen if you had a break and or you did have a break and you were clearer, I'd be very interested to know positive benefits you've seen from other people having breaks or if you've had a break. But this is just part one. I'll release a few more things linked to it. These are routine experiments, and this one is 2 years and running now, and I'm noticing massive gains monthly. Thank you.